This podcast contains subject matter that may be disturbing to some listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
For imprints
It's time to open the door in your mind. Sit back and listen to true horror. But be careful what you allow in. Because it's time to go through the fog. Today's story is Tremors, posted by user SugarSode to r/scary stories. There was worldwide confusion when the tremors happened, as no one had any clue what was going on. They were felt on every continent and lasted for a few hours. It was initially thought to be an earthquake, but this was quickly dismissed. The world's top scientists were completely clueless as to what had caused them. They kept running tests and they all came back inconclusive. A flood in Ireland finally gave us a clue as to what may have happened. A river overran its banks and flooded a graveyard, unearthing some coffins. The local council sent some workers to bury the coffins again, and there was a scandal when all of the coffins turned out empty. The local undertaker was accused of stealing the bodies, and he pointed out that most of those coffins were buried years before he started working. The police called, and they discovered every grave was empty. They went to a couple of nearby graveyards and discovered that they were all empty as well. This news story went viral, and soon other countries reported the same phenomenon. Someone, or something, had stolen every corpse on the planet. Cremation now became the most common way to dispose of a loved one, as people were afraid what would happen to the corpses if they buried them. I was sitting on a beach a few days ago, watching a couple of kids burying their father in the sand, and couldn't help but smile at their gleeful expression. His head was the only part of his body not buried. The father letting out screams of pain and shouting that something was biting him. I rushed over to help take him out. We all stepped back after discovering his body was no longer attached to his head. The look of agony on his face will haunt me forever. We don't know what's living in the ground, but we know that it likes the taste of us. Through the Fog was recorded by Haptic. Edited by Brad LeBaron, Haptic, and Kevin Caravan. And produced by Flyover State Park. All stories are recorded either with the author's permission or with a Creative Commons share-alike license. If you like what we're doing, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can find links to Haptic and Flyover at State Park's link trees down in the show notes. There you can find links to our podcast on other platforms, as well as Twitter and other social media and YouTube links. Redistribution or sale of this podcast is strictly prohibited without the express written consent of both Haptic and the story authors. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.
This is Flyover State Park. You are clear to land.